What's up, guys? Let's get this going here. Showing the road over here. I put my advice into action. YouTube, Facebook. Before we dive in, guys, I run a blog at bloggingfromparadise.com, which many of you know, but some of you may not. And I sell courses to help you succeed as a blogger. I sell ebooks to help you succeed as a blogger. I also go into some of the traveling aspects of what I do. And of course, I publish blog posts to help you thrive as a blogger. Every decision you make is a life-changing decision. At first glance, this sounds nuts, if not utterly insane, if not incredibly difficult to believe, because you and I often think egoically in a world of, Indian mystics would call it Maya, but ultimately it's duality. So we're thinking big decision, small decision. And we all use the terminology. You've all been there. It's a big life decision. Makes me think of a line from Wall Street when Bud Fox walks up, looks at the mirror, and basically says, life comes down to a few decisions. This is one of them. By that, he's saying in his mind, it was a really big decision because he was going to meet Gordon Gekko, the king of the street at the time, a fictitious character. And basically, he was going to try to woo him. And he knew deep down that the way he was probably going to have to do it was to go the insider trading route, the illegal route, which he did. And obviously, that led to a lot of problems. But that actually is a great symbolic representation of why we tend to create problems for ourselves. We think some decisions are really big decisions, and maybe like a select few. I will use that terminology. You have that frame of mind, and then the rest are these just little tiny peon decisions, no significance, valueless, and mean nothing. It's a crock of crap, and there's a very good reason why. Each decision you make in your mind from moment to moment, all day long, for the remainder of this illusory human life, puts you on a specific trajectory. That's life-changing, because in each moment, you're deciding, choosing to do something that puts you on a specific trajectory. So you're moving in the direction you're moving because of the thoughts you're choosing. When you frame it that way, which is reality, the truthful way, you're going to give a lot more credence to the decisions you make, even if you're not aware of the 40 to 50 to 60,000 thoughts you're thinking, the decisions you're making on a daily basis. It doesn't mean like every split second you'll be deciding manually. A lot of this stuff, if not all of our lives until we start digging deep, is happening at an unconscious level. Yet, you will begin to patiently, slowly, surely ask yourself, if you're doing something, why? You will begin to ask yourself, for what purpose? So a few moments ago, it was a graphical example, practical example, eating cornflakes with bananas in them. I felt inspiration said, broadcast this topic live on Facebook, hi guys, and YouTube, hi guys. So that was a decision that inspiration spirit guided me with. In that moment, I was on YouTube checking the home page. And there were a series of videos based on the YouTube algorithm knowing what I check out sometimes. I check out Sasquatch stuff, Course in Miracles stuff, David Hoffmeister stuff. And I was looking in some basketball stuff. And I was looking at the basketball videos, and I was prepared to click to make the decision, the choice to click on one of the B-ball videos as I'm sitting here eating my cornflakes with bananas in them. And in that moment, there were a couple of thoughts in my mind, or appeared to be. One was like, broadcast live and chat about this topic. And the other was, I'll just watch some Hoops video and enjoy your lunch. I went to lunch, I didn't have any savory. I went with the breakfast sweet. Either way, in that moment, I decided to broadcast live. Listen to spirit, listen to intuition. Trust my gut. That changes my life because it moves me in a different direction, a different trajectory than I was just sitting there distracting myself with videos. And we do it a lot sometimes, and sometimes we don't do it quite as much, but you're going to see this world is a distraction device created by the ego to keep your mind asleep. And one of the ways that it keeps your mind asleep, or appears to, you're listening to that voice, is based on the fact that, not the fact, but on this idea that some decisions are really small and insignificant. And again, I like the phrase peon-like, they don't mean anything. There's no value there. And then you have a few of these huge life-changing decisions. What job am I going to work? Am I going to start a business? Am I going to get married? So the ego loves, in a world of duality, to say some decisions are huge, most are meaningless. And that's entirely untrue. It's a load of bunk. Number one, because it comes from the ego, which is an illusion. But more importantly, every decision you make puts you in a specific direction. So by choosing to broadcast live, I have no idea how this will affect the world on a deeper level. Not on a conscious level of, well, I'm broadcasting and who's going to show up, who's going to share it. No. That's getting back into the ego. You're thinking of form. You don't want to do that, guys, because then you'll begin to assign, or you will assign, worldly form, illusory image, like this whole illusion we're living in, this whole hologram. You'll begin to say, well, this decision yielded this. This decision yielded that. That's the getting mechanism. That's the ego. That is, what am I getting out of this? That is a fundamental mistake, because the more you think about getting, or if you even have a thought about getting, it pulls you out of the significance and the power of each decision to a type of ridiculous, insane level of commerce. Well, this decision didn't give me anything. Well, why make this decision? I've been wasting my time. This is one mechanism too, and it's ingenious when you think about it, how the ego keeps you tied to the past. You can be making decisions now that are truly helpful, that are really fun, that light you up, but the ego says, don't do that because you're not going to get anything out of it. Look at your blog, look at your business, look at your life, look at your relationships, look at your job, don't do it. So it pulls you back to the illusion of the past when only the present is real. The holy instant, the moment. That's the only reality based on past results. And when you think along those lines and you start to get this really just loony idea that you had a few big decisions in your life and the rest were meaningless, which is so untrue. Every decision puts you in a certain direction, puts you on a specific trajectory, and you have no idea, especially ultimately when you're making decisions more and more and more and more, just predominantly, slowly but surely, from love, from the Holy Spirit, from intuition, from inspiration. You have no idea how those decisions are affecting the whole in terms of the one mind. I have no clue. So yeah, that's a life-changing decision. And you're going to find people that live what appear to be magical lives. They're guided through mental practice, through mind training is practice, guys. You got to practice it to live life intuitively, virtually exclusively. No egoic thoughts of what am I going to get. Intuitively, I'm going to do this because it's fun, because it's just freeing. And I know in listening to the love of intuition, fun, and freedom that it's truly helpful for all on a deeper level. That's when every decision becomes life-changing. And I wouldn't so much say important. I mean, I guess you can kind of say important, but just meaningful, valuable, life-changing. Look at even when you've made what appeared to be a big decision, like when I decided to not go back to the shipping terminal as a security guard 15 plus years ago. So I decided not to do that. That was pretty life-changing. But then I had to keep making significant, even though they seem seemingly tiny, but they were life-changing, to not go back, like a blanket decision, and then to move towards, for me, a more freeing worldly way of living, which wound up becoming blogging and circling the globe. I had to make a lot of seemingly tiny decisions that were life-changing, incredibly important, or else I wouldn't be doing it. So every decision I made to get where I'm at now was very, very life-changing, and ditto for you. Okay, I made that decision. Then I made a choice. Okay, I'm going to travel, and then I have to go to the post office and get my passport, and of course timing that. And then we got the plane tickets and starting the blog and buying a domain and hosting. They were all life-changing because they all brought me forward on this specific trajectory. If I decided not to do any of that, even if I made this what seemed like a blanket decision, because you could always just break a promise, right, with yourself, a promise to yourself, made this blanket, I'm just not going back to the terminal. I'm not going to trade time for money. There's just nothing happening for me there. If I didn't make those decisions towards freedom, which were life-changing, I would have somehow found myself back in the terminal, which would have been okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing right with it. It just is what it is. But that was the decision that I had to make persistently, which is ultimately a series of decisions. It was a series of choices, which were very life-changing. So don't dismiss the decisions you're making now. And let's say you're at a job. Maybe the job is like, okay, but it's not really lighting you up. While you're at the job, which you're choosing to be at, you're deciding to be there. Of course, nobody's got a gun to your head. We know this, but the ego will say, no, you can't. They're very good at making you think you do have a gun to your head, but you don't. It's talent especial. Each decision you make while you're at the job, I mean, to stay there, but then to go through, in a lot of cases at jobs, we're going through robotic processes, sometimes mindlessly on autopilot, because we get quote unquote good at it, highly skilled, and it gives us the money. So it becomes bookkeeping, machine-like. But even if that stuff's happening on an unconscious level, just like total autopilot, you're still choosing life-changing. I'm staying here, I'm going down this road, I'm going down that road. It's very life-changing, and it is, and it's because you're doing it and it's keeping you there. You know what I mean? Like when you think about it on a deeper level, guys, when you really give it deep thought, you will understand that the more intentionality you add to your choices, to begin asking, ultimately it starts with asking why. Why am I doing this? For what purpose? It's a really important point in the Course in Miracles where Jesus says, think of the analogy of using a phone to communicate with someone. Instead of questioning the phone itself or the means of communication before you pick up the phone to call someone, paraphrasing, he says, ask the question why. Wow, that will be uncomfortable when you start seeing these life-changing decisions, the direction you're moving in. Like, it'll be very eye-opening, because when you start asking why you're calling someone, and you begin. I use that word because a lot of us have to begin doing this because we've never done it before. For a lot of worldly relationships, special relationships, as the Course calls them, these relationships are based predominantly on guilt, special roles, fear of loss, fear of criticism, fear of rejection. They're conditional. It's fear. Do not believe the ego's lies about pure love. Love never asks, love only gives. How does that sound when you apply that truth to your family relationships? Uh-oh. That's why you have to ask why. That's when you'll begin to see that every decision is life-changing, because it puts you on a certain direction, deeper down the road towards fear, scarcity, poverty, or even worldly success, but just this general terror of losing it all. Deeper in the illusion, more into the ego. That's fear. Why am I deciding this? Fear. Or love, fun. Why did I decide to broadcast live? Love, fun. Spirit says here, chat about it. I'll use you for a bit. All intents and purposes. So speak about this concept that every decision is life-changing, because it puts you on a specific trajectory. It moves you in a specific direction. Either you're doing things from the truth with each choice of love and oneness and fun and God and being helpful and just joy, or not. Because if you're not doing it from that decision, when you ask why, or when you ask for what purpose, you're doing it because there's some fear in your mind you're afraid of. There is a fear, and you're choosing based on that fear. And that's really helpful, guys. That's great, because when you start honestly looking at yourself, ultimately looking at your mind, because you are mind, you will see that these decisions that you're making from fear — I fear losing my family, I fear losing money, I fear losing the house, I fear losing these special relationships, I fear losing my job, I fear losing my bed, I fear this, I fear this, I fear losing — when you begin to realize that you're making high volume, if not most, if not all, these choices, these decisions based on fear, guilt, grief, then a light bulb goes off in your mind. You've been making life-changing decisions because you're afraid. And when you do that, you know what the result's going to be: unhappiness, depression, sadness, bad fear feelings. And that's not why you're here. You're here to have fun. You're here to be helpful. You're here to spread love through the one mind. We're one mind that we all are. And you will begin to make life-changing decisions, life-altering decisions, when you start to understand that everyone is. Puts you in a specific frame of mind, helps you see the world through either love or fear. I'd say that's life-changing. I'd also say that egoically, you're going to try to figure out how each decision benefits you in the beginning, but gradually you'll learn to trust the Holy Spirit. You'll learn to trust your intuition, which says, have fun, enjoy, I got you. It's handled, you're taken care of. You don't know, this intuition, you don't know where this is leading. And that's for all the better, because when you try to figure it out, each decision, you know what happens. Obstacles, resistance. Because how could you know infinite possibilities? How could you know? You just know one or two egoically. That's why you don't want to micromanage these choices. You just want to listen to your intuition, trust your gut, do things that are fun, lighten up, enjoy the ride. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be fun? Go down that road, choice to choice. And your life it's always changing. But as far as for the better, in terms of doing things from love and fun and joy and dreams, your life will begin to change. You will notice it quite quickly when you see that each decision, you're choosing more from love and fun, not from fear and loss. And you'll also realize, boy, they are life-changing. Again, I have no idea how broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube for 20 minutes or a half hour, nor do I want to have an idea, because my job isn't to focus on the outcomes or what I'm getting. That's egoic. It's to have fun, let it go. One of the sayings in the Course, one of the talismans of wisdom, every line is pure truth and wisdom, infinite wisdom. But it is to have, give all to all. Think about that just for a little bit. And you get that if you're giving from love in the one mind that we all are, the cosmic field, all sons of God in mind. That's it. When you're giving all to all, you're doing things from love. So in your mind, you're putting out good vibes, if you will, love, joy, happiness into the one mind that there is. And it's not going to happen body to body wise, because the ego is going to say, oh, I gave it to all, but 7 billion people or 7.5 billion people, bodies, didn't reply to the video. They didn't watch it. No, that's the getting mechanism again. You can't know how in mind, which is what you are, and in the one mind, how your love is going to affect it. All you can know is that when you move in that direction and you start making these life-changing decisions, choices to live and do and be from love and fun and playfulness instead of the alternative of fear, which you'll see in the world, that it's your path and Spirit's got you. God's got you. Got it handled. It's okay. It's your infinite love. That being can't lose. But you got to start becoming hyper aware of the fact that every decision is life-changing, life-altering. Because your whole experience is your mind. Your belief system, what you're choosing belief-wise from moment to moment, reflects back to you as the world that you appear to see. So since we're one mind, the mind, your beliefs are being reflected back to you in the world. So of course, what you choose from moment to moment, it's life-changing. And you never know how quick, and sometimes it appears to be slower, sometimes it appears to be quicker, but when you're making these decisions with this quantum idea in mind, that each one changes your life, things can get pretty amazing fast. Don't think that life is a series of 3 or 4 or 5 big choices. It's not. Every choice is life-altering. You're not going to be aware of everyone, but the more you start asking why am I doing this? Why am I working this job that feels depressing? When you get honest enough with yourself, you will say it's because I'm afraid to lose. So of course you're going to have to face, feel, forgive that fear, release it out of your mind to start making decisions from love and fun and joy and happiness. For what purpose? That's another one. I was watching a video of a real famous actor the other day and director, and it was actually a nice piece for one of these like fluff shows from the past. Wouldn't expect them to move in that direction as much, but Spirit pokes through. And they asked him his success secret, some of his success secrets. And the first one he led off with was, you have to look at yourself honestly. And what he meant, that's symbolically, but he means like look. He meant look at your mind, look at the choices you're making, look at your life, and start asking questions. Why? What's the purpose? Why am I making these choices? It's always in your mind, but you have to actually go there to see the significance of these choices moment to moment. And again, guys, it doesn't mean I'm going to make 55,000 choices today. No, it just means getting into the spirit of trusting your intuition. Intuition, guide me. Intuition, help me. Holy Spirit, help me. Holy Spirit, guide me. Or Jesus, whatever. Or just call it trusting your gut. The symbolic name you use doesn't matter, but your heart means everything. Making choices from your heart to trust your intuition, to trust your gut. And then you'll see they're significant because it's your whole experience. So you're not going to sit there like for the entirety of this video, it's 25 minutes now, I'll wrap it up in a few. It's not as if I was choosing thousands of thoughts, making thousands of decisions. I said, intuition, guide me, got the idea, boom, here I go. So for that seeming 25 minutes or half hour, I felt like it was autopilot, but ultimately it was because I chose to listen to love and not the fear of distraction and just sitting there and looking at the screen. And again, guys, we all do it. I'm just giving you a graphic example in real time, if you will, of making the decision, the choice to just say, got this idea. Every decision is life-changing because it reflects your belief system back to you, puts you in a certain direction. And you never know when you're choosing from love and fun and trusting your intuition, the doors that will open. You just don't. How could you? How could I know when I left my security guard job or downsized, whatever, 15, 16 years ago, 14 years, whatever it was, 14 years ago, that I'd be here right now? I have no idea. I just left my job or I was downsized. They let go 30, 40 guards, whatever it was. So like in that moment, I'm like, I'm not going back, but I had no idea about traveling or blogging. I didn't even know what it was. I know what a blog was. I'd never heard of it. But I made a series of life-altering decisions to move in that direction. And it will be the same with you. All right, guys, that's it for today. Feel free to share this video if you're inspired by it. Until next time, enjoy Paradise All. It's on Facebook. And we'll see you later, YouTube.